Biden warned Ukraine. Russia might attack. American President Joe Biden warns Ukrainian president that Russia could take military action by February 2022. A time when the United States will seek a UN Security Council meeting to discuss the crisis in the region. The news came as the Kremlin also struck a solid gloomy tone Thursday, January 27, 2012 too, by saying they saw little basis for optimism in resolving the crisis after America rejected Russia's key demands. Russian officials say Moscow dialogue is likely to end the crisis. But the agency again gave a stern warning that Russian President Vladimir Putin would give the green light for an invasion in the not-too-distant future. White House National Security Council spokeswoman Emily Honda said Biden conveyed the warning to the president of Ukraine, followed by Zelensky in a telephone call. In these talks was good and also reaffirmed America's readiness to respond decisively if Russia attacked Ukraine before. On Thursday, the U.S. envoy to the UN Linda Thomas-Greenfield said the government was good and wanted to discuss the Ukraine crisis. Greenfield said Russia had engaged in stabilizing actions aimed at Vienna, imposing a real threat to international peace and security as well as the UN Charter. Relations between Russia and the West deteriorated after Moscow deployed hundreds of thousands of troops on its border with Ukraine. The Kremlin denied plans to attack, but demands broad security guarantees, including guarantees that Ukraine will never be allowed to join or that neither the United States nor NATO have officially rejected the demands. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters that the American and NATO response left little ground for optimism, but he said that there was always the prospect of continuing the dialogue in the interests of Russia and Ukraine and America, he said. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also hinted at the opening of the dialogue. He acknowledged the American response contained several elements that could lead to the start of serious talks on secondary issues. But Lavrov also stressed that the document does not contain a positive response to the main issue, namely Moscow's demands that NATO not develop in alliances. It refrains from surrendering weapons that may threaten Russia. Bras are different. In Germany's new Chancellor Olaf Scholz will discuss the Ukraine crisis during its February meeting in Washington, D.C. Germany's refusal to join America and other NATO members in providing weapons to Ukraine has disturbed some allies and raises questions about Berlin's determination to fight Moscow. But the German Foreign Minister for Barbarian Arena said his government was coordinating its policies with its allies. Various options would also be considered if Russia really attacks, including action against Ukraine. Washington, D.C. The United States, U.S., will deploy an additional 3,000 troops to Eastern Europe, particularly Poland and Romania, amid fears of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. This deployment aims to support NATO forces in protecting the European region from the potential spillover of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Russia has denied allegations of planning to invade Ukraine, but has deployed more than 100,000 troops near the Ukrainian border and says it could take unspecified military action if its demands are not met. One of Russia's demands is that NATO not accept Ukraine as a member of the alliance. The Pentagon announced that the Stryker squadron of 1,000 U.S. troops based in Vilseck, Germany, will be sent to Romania. Another 1,700 U.S. troops, members of the 82nd Airborne Division, will be dispatched from the Fort Bragg military base in North Carolina to Poland. Then about 300 more U.S. troops will be sent from Fort Bragg to Germany. We know that he is also annoyed with NATO, about NATO. He didn't keep it a secret. We made it clear that we would be prepared to defend our NATO allies should that happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen, Kirby added. Polish Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak welcomed the deployment of the U.S. troops and called it a sign of strong solidarity. The Secretary General of the NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, also welcomed it while stressing that the response to Russia was defensive and proportional. Western countries have previously warned that a Russian attack would be met with severe consequences, including a barrage of economic sanctions. Putin in his statement accused the West of ignoring Russia's security concerns and taking advantage of Ukraine as a tool to ward off Russia, even to lure Russia into war. But Putin also hopes for a solution to end tensions. Washington. The United States is not seeking to escalate tensions with Russia, but Moscow's actions will have consequences, U.S. President Joe Biden insists. With regard to Russia, I explained to President Vladimir Putin that although we are not seeking escalation, their actions have consequences. Biden asserted in his speech, I responded in a direct and proportionate manner to Russian interference.